Warkworth Castle, Northumberland. The mighty Northumberland fortress that is Warkworth Castle and its hermitage form one of the strangest pairs of medieval monuments in all of Britain. The castle itself crowns majestically over the River Coke, and in its present style the castle was probably laid out in roughly the year 1200. It was known to be the preferred residence of the powerful and highly influential Percy family from the 14th to the 17th centuries. As the Earls and later Dukes of Northumberland, they were among the greatest landowners in northern England. Nearby, on the banks of the River Coke and reachable only by boat, are the remains of a chapel known as the Hermitage, which is carved straight out of the cliff. The Hermitage itself was built by Sir Bertram after a truly horrific turn of events. The Tragic Tale of Sir Bertram. There are several versions of this somewhat maudling tale that tells a heart-wrenching story of Sir Bertram of Bothwell, although this rendition is the one I personally tend to gravitate towards. Sir Bertram, one of Earl Percy's knights, was the husband-to-be of Lady Isabel, the daughter of Lord Widdrington. During an extremely ferocious, blood-soaked battle on Earl Douglas's army, he was terribly wounded. Bertram sent a message to his doting fiancée, Isabel, imploring her to ride to his side for support as he recuperated from his wounds. He waited and waited, patiently anticipating her arrival. Unfortunately, this was to no avail. As soon as he was fit to ride, he and his brother began the journey back to Isabel's home. When the pair eventually arrived after an arduous and tiresome journey, they were perplexed to discover that Isabel had apparently left promptly after receiving his message. Upon hearing this news, the brothers deduced that her failure to arrive could only be due to kidnapping by enemy forces as she embarked on the long journey to be by his side. On discussing what to do, the brothers decided that in order to cover more ground, the best solution would to be head off in different directions in their search for his beloved Isabel. Laboriously trekking through the English countryside, often resorting to disguise as to evade capture from the enemy, Sir Bertram eventually caught wind of tales of a beautiful princess detained in the tower of an isolated castle. On his arrival at the distant castle, he failed to gain entry. His only option was to keep watch in a nearby dark, dank cave. Eventually, he caught sight of a woman framed in the window of the tall tower. The woman was indeed Isabel. However, totally exhausted from his long journey, Sir Bertram fell into a long, deep sleep. Many hours passed until he was awoken by peculiar noises. What had actually woken him was the sound of Isabel being assisted down a rope ladder by an unknown man wearing what looked like him to be a Scottish Highland costume. In his mind, her unknown aide was clearly the enemy. Isabel was in the process of being moved to another location, or so he sadly mistakenly thought. Full of rage, he unsheathed his sword and took his chance. Running to the attack, he came down on his opponent with an almighty ferocious blow. It was then he heard a blood-curdling shriek from the now utterly terrified Isabel, recognising his fiancée's voice as she dashed amid the two men screaming, "Stop! Wait! It's your brother!" Alas, it was too late, and her appeals regrettably fell on deaf ears. Bertram proceeded to once again raise his mighty sword, bringing down yet another savage blow, killing them both. Understandably heartbroken, he returned to Warkworth Castle, bestowing all his land and wealth to the poor in the area. It was then he built with his own hands the tiny hermitage, where he would live a self-imposed solitude for the rest of his days. In the chapel at the hermitage, he built a tomb in Isabel's memory, complete with a statue of a graceful lady, her hands raised in silent prayer. Kneeling at her feet is the mournful figure of a recluse, his left hand pressed to his heart. Prominently over the doorway is a beautiful heartfelt inscription which reads, "My tears have been my meat night and day." Over the years since his sad, lonely death, there have been numerous reports of a ghostly, hermit-like figure thought to be Sir Bertram on the banks of the River Coke near his hermitage. Some people even claim that he can be seen kneeling in prayer by the river.